Chapter 8. The Journey to Alexandria. The next morning, Simango and Kumalo took the bus, which set them down at the place where Kumalo had lost his pound. Then they walked to the bus rank for Alexander. But here they met an unexpected problem, for a young man came up to them and said to Simango, "Are you going to Alexandria, Umfundisi?" "Yes, my friend." "We are here to stop you, Umfundisi. Not by force, you see," he pointed. "The police are there to prevent that, but by persuading you. If you use this bus, you are weakening the cause of the black people. We have determined not to use these buses until the fare is brought back again to 4 pence. "Yes, indeed, I have heard of it." He turned to Kumal. "I was very foolish. I had forgotten that there were no buses. At least I had forgotten that people were not using buses." "Our buses is very urgently," said Kumal humbly. "Our buses is also urgent," said man politely. "They want us to pay 6 pence. That is 1 shilling a day, 6 shillings a week, and some of us only get 35 or 40 shillings. "Is it far to walk?" asked Kumal. "It is a long way, Umfundisi, almost 18 kilometers. "That is a long way for an old man." "Man, as old as you are doing it every day, Umfundisi, and women, and some that are sick, and children. They started working at 4 in the morning, and they do not get back till 8 at night. They have little food, and their eyes are hardly closed before they must stand up again, sometimes to start off again with nothing but hot water in their stomach. I cannot stop you taking a bus, Umfundisi, but this is a cause to fight for. If we lose it, then they will have to pay more in Sophia town and other places. I understand you well. We shall not use the bus." The man thanked them and went to another traveler to pursue him. "That man had a silver tongue," said Kumal. "That is the famous Dubala, a friend of your brother John. They say your brother has the voice, but that is man has the heart. He is the one the government is afraid of, because he himself is not afraid. He wants to make trouble. They say he has given up his own work to do this. His wife does other rank at Alexander. That is something to be proved of. They were church people, but and so no longer like your brother. They say church has a fine voice, but does nothing. Well, my friend, what do we do now? I am willing to walk." 18 kilometers and 18 kilometers back. It is a long journey. I am willing. You understand I am anxious. This Johannesburg, it is no place for a boy to be alone. Good. Let us begin then. So they walked many kilometers through the city. After a long time, a car stopped and a white man spoke to them. Where are you two going?" he asked. "To Alexandra, sir," said Msimang, taking off his hat. "I thought you might be. Climb in." That was a great help to them, and at the turn to Alexandra, they got out and said their thanks. "It is a long journey," said the white man, "and I know what you have no passes." They stood to watch him go on, but he did not go on. He turned his car around and was soon on the road back to Johannesburg. "Ha," said Msimang, "that is something." It was still a long way to 23rd Avenue, and as they passed one avenue after the other, Msimang explained that Alexander was outside the boundaries of Johannesburg and was a place where a black man could buy land and own a house. But the streets were not cared for. There were no lights, and so great was demand for house that every man, if he could build rooms in his yard, let them to others. Many of these rooms were the hiding places of thieves, and there was much sex and drinking. At last, they came to the house they were looking for. A woman opened the door to them. She gave them no greetings, and when they started their business, she led them without enthusiasm. "You say the boy has gone, Miss Mkhize?" "Yes, I do not know where he is gone." "When did he go?" "These many months, a year it must be." "And had he a friend?" "Yes, another Kumal, the son of his father's brother, but they left together." "And you do not know where they went?" "They talked of many places, but you know how these young men talk." "How did he behave himself, this young man?" Absalom Kumalo asked her. "Have no doubt it is fear in her eyes. Have no doubt it is fear now in his eyes also. It is fear. Here in this house." "I saw nothing wrong," she said. "Then why are you afraid?" "I am not afraid," she said. "Then why do you tremble?" asked Msimang. "I am cold," she said. She looked at them carefully. "We thank you," said Msimang. "Stay well." "Go well," she said. Out in the street, Kumalo spoke. "There is something wrong." "I do not deny it, my friend. Two of us are too many together. 10 left at the big street. Wait for them." Heavy-hearted, the old man went, and Simang returned to the house. She opened it again to him, just as before. "I am not from the police," he said. "I wish to have nothing to do with them. But there is an old man suffering because he cannot find his son." "That is a bad thing," she said. But she spoke just words, not her feelings. "It is a bad thing," he said. "I cannot leave you until you have told me what you would not tell." "I have nothing to tell," she said. "You have nothing to tell because you are afraid, and you do not tremble because it is cold." "And why do I tremble?" she asked. "That I do not know, but I shall not leave you till I discover it. And if it is necessary, I shall go to the police after all, because there will be no other place to go." "It is hard for a woman who is alone," she said. "It is hard for an old man seeking his son." "I am afraid," she said. "He is afraid too." "Could you not see he is afraid?" "I could see it, Umfundis." "Then tell me, what sort of life did they lead here?" These two young men, but she kept silent, with the fear in her eyes. He could see that she would be hard to move. "I am a priest. Would you not take my word?" But she kept silent. "Have you a Bible?" "I will swear to you on that." But she kept silent till he said again, "I will swear to you on the Bible." So getting no peace, she went to a room behind and returned with the Bible. "I am a priest," he said. My yes has always been yes, and my no is no. But because you desire it, because an old man is afraid, I swear to you on this book that no trouble will come to you of this, for we seek only a boy." "What sort of life did they lead?" "They bought many things here, Umfundis, in late hours of the night. They wear clothes and watches and money and food in bottles and many other things." "Was there ever blood on them?" "I never saw blood on them, Umfundis. That is something. Only a little, but something." "And why did they leave?" "I do not know, Umfundis, but I think they were near to being discovered." "And you do not know where they were gone?" "No, but they were friendly with the taxi driver Tlabeni near the bus rank he lives. Everyone knows him. For that I gave you thanks." "Stay well, Miss Mkhize." He met Kumalo at the corner and they soon found Tlabeni, the taxi driver, sitting in his taxi. "Good afternoon, my friend," said Msimang. "Good afternoon, Umfundis. I want a taxi, my friend. What do you charge to Johannesburg?" "For you, Umfundis, I should change 11 shillings." It is a lot of money. Another taxi will charge you 15 and 20 shilling. The man was about to start his engine, but Msimangu said, I am told that you can help me to find a young man, Absalom Kumal. Have no doubt, too, that this man is afraid, but Msimangu is quick to explain to him. I am not here for trouble, he said, but my friend is the father of this young man, and he has come from Natal to find him. Yes, I knew this young man. And where is he now, my friend? I heard he had gone to live in Shantytown. There you have helped me, my friend. Come, we shall take your taxi. They climbed in, and the taxi drove out of Alexander on the broad high road. You see the bicycle? These are the thousands of Alexandra people returning home after their work, and soon we shall see thousands of them walking. Because of the trouble with the buses, and though they had not gone far before the streets were full of working people, many of the white people stopped their cars and took in the black people to help them on their journey to Alexander. They saw the police trying to prevent this, and once when they stopped, they heard one policeman ask a white man if he had a license to carry the black people. I am asking no money, said the white man. But you are carrying passengers on a bus route, said the officer. Then take me to court, said to the white man. But they had no more than that, for they had to move on with the traffic. They then take me to court, repeated Msiman quietly. Then take me to court. Chapter 9. All roads lead to Johannesburg. All roads lead to Johannesburg. If you are white or if you are black, they lead to Johannesburg. If the crops fail, there is work in Johannesburg. If there are taxes to be paid, there is work in Johannesburg. If the farm is too small to be divided further, some must go to Johannesburg. If there is a child to be born that must be born in secret, it can be born in Johannesburg. The black people go to Alexander or Sophiatown or Orlando and try to hire rooms or to buy a share of house. Have you a room that you could let? No, I have no room. Have you a room that you could let? It is let already. Have you a room that you could let? They say there are 10,000 of us in Orlando alone living in other people's house. Do you hear what Dubula says? That we must put up our own houses here in Orlando. And where do we put up the houses? On an open ground by a railway line, Dubala says. And of what do we build the houses? Anything you can find. Sacks, wood and grass from the grasslands and sticks from fields. And when it rains, they will have to build us houses. It is foolishness. What shall we do in this winter? 6 years waiting for a house, and the houses go still further for the people who still come to Johannesburg. The night they are busy in Orlando, I shall carry the iron and you, my wife, the child and you, my son, 2 sticks and many sacks down to the land by railway line. Many people are moving there. You can hear the sound digging and hammering already. It is good that night is warm. There is no rain, thank you, Mr. Tubala. We are satisfied with this piece of ground. Thank you, Mr. Tubala. Here is our shilling for the committee. Shantytown is up overnight. What a surprise for people when they wake up in the morning. The newspaper are full of us. This great village of sack and wood is an iron with no rent to pay. Only a shilling to the committee. Shantytown is up overnight. The child coughs badly and her face is as hot as fire. The cold wind comes through the sacks. What shall we do in the rain, in the winter? Quietly, my child, do not cough anymore. Your mother is by you. But the child coughs badly. Her face is hotter than fire. What shall we do in the rain, in the winter? Already some of them are saying, look at those houses over the hill which they have started to build because we built Shantytown. They are not finished, but the roofs are on. One night we shall move there and be safe from the rain, the winter. Chapter 10. The Reformatory. And this is Shantytown, my friend. Khumalo looked around their houses. A sheet of iron, a few bits of wood, sack and grass. An old door from some forgotten house. There is a smell of food. There is a sound of voices. The sun shines warmly down from the cloudless sky. But what will they do when it rains? What will they do when it is winter? See there, if one of our black nurses, does she not look well in her uniform? The white people are training more and more of them. It is strange how we move forward in some things and go backward in others. Yet in this matter of nurses and doctors, we have many friends among the white people. Good morning, nurse. Did you ever know a young man, Absalom Khumalo? Yes, I did. But he is not here now. He stayed at the house over there. The woman of the house smiled at them in a friendly way. Mother, we are looking for a land. Absalom Khumalo. He stayed with me, Umfundis. We took pity on him because he had no place to go. But I am sorry to tell you that they took him away. The magistrate sent him to the reformatory. The reformatory? Yes, the big school beyond the hospital. It is not too far to walk. I must thank you, mother. Stay well. Come, my friend. They walked on in silence, for neither of them had no words. Khumalo would have fallen through the road was straight and even, and Msimangu took his arm. Have courage, my brother. Sometimes it seems that I have no more courage. I was afraid of this. Yes, I too was afraid of this. Yes, I remember when you first became afraid, the day of Alexandra. When you sent me on and you returned to speak again to the woman. What did the woman say to you, my friend? Yes, she said that these two young men were making trouble. Many goods, white people, goods came to the house. This reformatory, can they reform there? I do not know. Some people say one thing, some other. But your friend, the priest from England, speaks well of it. They came to the reformatory where one of their own people, a pleasant fellow, asked them what they wanted and took them to an office where the young white man inquired of them in Afrikaans, what was this business? We are looking, sir, for the son of my friend. One Absalom Khumalo, said Msumang, in same language. Absalom Khumalo. Yes, I know him well. Strange, he told me he had no people. Your son told him that he had no people, said Msimang, in Zulu. He was no doubt ashamed, said Kuman. I am sorry, he said to Msimang in Zulu, that I speak no Afrikaans, for he had heard that sometimes they do not like black people who speak no Afrikaans. The young man understood him and said in English, you may speak what you will. Your son did well here and I have great hope for his future. You mean, sir, that he is gone? Gone, yes, only 1 month ago. We made an exception in this case, partly because of his good behavior, partly because of his age, but mainly because there was a girl who is going to have child by him. She came here to see him and he seemed fond of her and anxious about the child that would be born. And so after he promised us that he would work for this child and its mother, we let him go. And is he now married, sir? No, Mfundisi, he is not. But anything is arranged for the marriage. This girl has no people, and your son told us he had no people, so I myself have arranged it. That is good of you, sir. I thank you for them. It is our work. You must not worry too much about this matter, and the fact that they were not married. The real question is whether he will care for them and lead a decent life. I will take you to Pimville, where Absalom and this girl are living. He will not be there, because I have found work for him in town, and they have given me good reports of him, and I persuaded him to open a post office book, and he already has 3-4 pounds of it. Indeed, I cannot thank you enough, sir. It is our work, said the young man. At the house in Pinville, they were greeted by a young girl, who herself seemed no more than a child. We have come to inquire after Absalom, said the young white man. This Umfundisi is his father. He went on Saturday to Springs, she said, and he has not yet returned. The young man was silent for a while, then looked confused or angry. But this is Tuesday, he said. Have you heard nothing from him? Nothing, she said. When will he return? He asked. I do not know, she said. Will he ever return? He asked. I do not know, she said. She said in it hopelessly, as one who is used to waiting, to being left suddenly alone. Kumalo was moved to pity. What will you do? He said. I do not know, she said. Msimango turned to Kumalo. You can do nothing here, he said. Let us go. Have you not troubles enough of your own? I tell you there are thousands of such girls in Johannesburg. You do not understand. I will be a child's grandfather. Even that you do not know, said Msimango angrily. And if you were, how many much more such have you? Shall we search them out? Day after day, hour after hour, will it ever end? Kumalo stood in the dust like one who has been struck. Then, without speaking any more, he took his seat in the car. They stopped at the gate of village, and young white man got out and went into an office. He came back, his face unhappy. I have telephoned the factory, he said. It is true. He has not been at work this week. At Orlando, they climbed out and the young man spoke to Kumal. I am sorry for this, he said. I am sorry too, for this end to your work. Yes, it is my work, but it is your son. Let us not give up all hope. It has happened sometimes that a boy is arrested or is injured and taken to hospital and we do not know. Do not give hope hope. Umfundisi, I will not give up the search. They watched him drive away. He is a good man, said Kumalo. Come, let us walk. But Msimang did not move. I am ashamed to walk with you, he said. I asked you to forgive my ugly words. You are forgiven. But I have something to ask of you. Msimango looked at him, searching his face, and then he said, It is agreed. What is agreed? That I should take you again to see this girl. They walked along the hot road to Orlando and both silent, each no doubt with many things in mind. Chapter 11. Murder in Parkworld. It was a pleasant evening at the mission house. Father Vincent, the rosy-cheeked priest, was there, and they talked about the place where Kumalo lived and worked, and the young man in his turn spoke about his own country. But even his pleasure was not to be completed. For one of the white priests came in from the city with the evening newspaper and showed them the large black lines. Murder in Parkworld, well-known city engineer shot dead, attackers thought to be natives. This is a terrible loss for South Africa, said the white priest. For this Otto Jovis was a courageous young man and a great fighter for justice, and it is a terrible loss for church too. He was one of the finest of all our young helpers and was the president of African Boys Club here in Claymont. Perhaps you might have known him, said Father Vincent to Kumal. It says that he was the only child of Mr. James Jovis of High Place, Carisbrooke. I know the father, said Kumal sadly. I mean, I know him well by sight and name, but we have never spoken. His farm is in hills above Ndochen, and he sometimes rode past our church. But I did not know the son. He was silent. Then he said, But I remember there was a small bright boy, and he too sometimes rode on his horse past the church. A small bright boy, I remember. True, I do not remember it well. And he was silent again, for who is not silent when someone is dead? Who was a small bright boy? Shall I read this? Said Father Vincent. At half past 1 p.m. today, Mr. Jarvis of Plantation Road, Parkwold, was shot dead in his house by someone thought to be a native. Miss Jarvis and her 2 children were away, and Mr. Jarvis had stayed at home with a slight cold. It would seem that a native, probably with 2 friends, entered by the kitchen, thinking no doubt that there would be no one in the house. The native servant in the kitchen was knocked unconscious, and it would appear that Mr. Jarvis heard the noise and came down in to investigate. He was shot dead at close range. 3 native youths were seen waiting in the plantation road just before the incident occurred. The native servant is lying unconscious in the non-European hospital, and it is hoped that when he becomes conscious, he will be able to give the police important information. His condition is serious. However, the dead man was well known for his interest in the welfare of the non-European sections of the community. A silence falls upon them. This is no time to talk of beauty of any country. Sadness and fear and hate, how they rise up in the heart of mind. Cry for the broken tribe, for the law of the custom that is gone, and cry for the man who is dead, for the women and children who have lost him. Cry the beloved country. These things are not yet at the end. The sun pours down on the earth, on the lonely land that the man cannot enjoy. He knows only the fear of his heart. Msimangu walked with Kumalo to the gate of the little house of Miss Letebe. Kumalo's face was full of suffering. This thing, he said, this thing. Here is my heart. There is nothing but fear, fear, fear. I understand. Yet it is foolish to fear that one thing, this great city with its thousands and thousands of people. It is not a question of wisdom and foolishness. It is just fear. Come and pray. There is no prayer left in me. I am silent here inside. I have no words at all. Good night, my brother. Good night. There are times, no doubt, when God seems no more to be about the world. Chapter 12. The Search for Absalom. Have no doubt it is fear in the land, for what can men do when so many have grown lawless? Who can enjoy the lovely land? Who can enjoy the 70 years and sun that pours down on earth when there is fear in the heart? Who can walk quietly in the shadow of the trees? When there is danger, who can lie peacefully in bed while the darkness holds some secret? There are voices crying what must be done. 100, 1,000 voices, but what do they help if one cries this and one cries that and another cries something that is neither this nor that? Is terrible that we have so few police. We must demand more protection. I say we shall always have native crime to fear until native people of this country have worthy purpose and worthy goals to work for. It is only because they see neither purpose nor goal that they turn to drink and crime. The answer does not lie in more police and more protection. I am sure that increased schooling would cause a decrease in crime among native children. Don't you think that more schooling and would only produce clearly criminals? Why can't they make places where the native can relax away from the European districts? And now, how long will it take them to get there? And how long to get back? How many hours do you give your servants off on Sunday? Oh, it's too hot to argue. Yes, there are hundreds and thousands of voices crying, but what does one do? When one cries this thing and one cries another, who knows how we shall create a land of peace where there are so many black people than white people? Cry the beloved for the unborn child that will feel our fear. Let him not love the earth too deeply. Let him not laugh too gladly. When the water runs through his finger, nor stand too silent when the setting sun makes red glass grasslands with fire. Let him not be too moved when the birds of his lands are singing, nor give too much of his heart to a mountain or a valley, for a fear will rob him of all if he gives too much. Mr. Msimang. Ah, it is Miss Ndela of N Street. Mr. Msimang, the police have been to me. They are looking for the son of the old Mfundisi. What? For what? Mother? They did not say, Mr. Msimang. Is it bad, mother? It looks bad. I was frightened, Mfundi, so I gave them the address, Miss Kize, 79 23rd Avenue, Alexander, and one said, yes, this woman was known to the police. Did I do wrong, Mfundisi? I was afraid. You did no wrong, mother. It is the law. We must obey the law. He thanks the simple woman and tells her to go well. He stands for the moment, then turns quickly to go out. But he is too late for. As he opens his door, Komalo stands before him. You are going out, my friend. Msimang is silent. Come in, said Msimang at last. He shut the door. I have just had a visit from Miss Ndela. The police came to her house looking for the boy. The police came to her house looking for the boy. She gave them the address of Miss Mkize. Why do they want the boy? Asked Kumalo. That we do not know. I was ready to go there when you came. You were going alone? The old man asked. I was going alone, yes. But now that I have told you, you may come also. There are no buses, so we must take or go by taxi. I have money. No one must pay but me. It will take a great deal of money, said Msimang. Kumalo took out his purse urgently. Here is my money, he said. We shall use it then. Come, let us look for a taxi. Miss Mkizi, she drew back angry. Have the police been here? What did they want? They wanted the boy. And where have they gone? To Shantytown. She draws back again, remembering to the address you said you did not know. Said Msimang, what could I do? She said. It was the police. I did not know the address, Shantytown. I told them in Shantytown at their house they had visited before. Msimang asked, have the police been here? They were here, Umfundis. They wanted the boy. For what, mother? Did it seem serious? I do not know, Umfundis. And where have they gone? To the reformatory, Umfundis. At the reformatory, the white man was out, and Msimang asked the native deputy, have the police been here? They have been here. It was now that they left. They wanted the boy, Absalom Kumalo. Why did they want him? Did it seem serious? I do not know. I could not say. And where did they go? To Pimville, Umfundis. To the home of the girl. My child, have the police been here? They have been here. Now. They were here. They wanted Absalom. Umfundis, I told them I had not seen him since Saturday. And why did they want him? Cried Kumal. She drew back frightening. I do not know, she said. Did it seem serious? Asked Mfundis. It seemed serious, Mfundis. What is the trouble? She asked. We do not know, replied Msimang. The world is full of trouble, she said. They told me I must let them know if he comes. Her eyes were full of trouble. What shall I do? She said. Tell the police, said Msimang. I tell us also. How much is your charge? Asked Msimang. £2 and 10 shillings, says the taxi driver. I should like to help you in this, says Msimang. You are kind, says Kumalo, trembling. But no one must pay but me. And he draws the notes from the few of remain in the purse. You are trembling, my friend. I am cold, very cold. Msimang looks up in cloudless sky from which sun of Africa is pouring down upon the earth. Come to my room, he says. We shall have a fire and make you warm again. Chapter 13. Why fear one thing? That evening alone in his house room, Kumalo sat and thought, yes, it was true what Msimangu had said. Why fear one thing in a great city where there were thousands and thousands of people? His son had got into trouble in great city where so many others had got into trouble. But that he should kill a man, a white man, there was nothing that he could remember, nothing at all, in all the years when his son was a boy, that could make it possible for him to do such a terrible thing. Perhaps when his son and the girl were married, they would go back with him to Ndojeni, and then he could try to rebuild what he had broken. Yes, Msimang was right. It was the not knowing that made him fear this one thing, in a great city where there were thousands and thousands of people. Chapter 14. The prison. 2 days later, just Kumalo was about to call the small boy to play with him. He saw with the fear catching at him suddenly with a physical pain. Simango and the young white man coming into the house. Good afternoon, Mfundisi. Is there a place where we can talk and ask the young man? Come to my room, he said, hardly trusting to his voice. In the room, he shut the door and stood not looking at them. I have heard about your fear, said the young man. It is true, and Kumalo could not look at them. He sat down in his chair and fixed his eyes upon the floor. What does one say now? They will say we let him out too soon, said the young man at last. The other two were not reformatory boys, but it was he who fired the shot. My friend, said Msimang, in ordinary a voice as he could find. One of the two others is the son of your brother. Do you wish to come to the prison, Umfundisi? I have arranged it for you. And Kumalo nodded. But my brother first, he said. I shall show you the way, said Msimang. I shall wait at the mission, said the young man. I shall walk slowly up the street, said Kumalo. You must tell the woman what has happened. Msimang caught him up at the top of the hill and took him arm. And it was like watching with a child or with one that was sick. So they came to the shop. Do not come, father, said Kumalo. It is who must do this. Yes, the bull voice was there, loud and confident. His brother, John, was sitting there on a chair talking to two other men, sitting there like a chief. Ah, my brother, it is you. Well, I am glad to see you. Will you not come and join us? I am sorry, but I come again on business, urgent business. I am sure my friend will excuse us. So they all said, stay well, go well, and two men left them. Well, I am glad to see you, my brother, and your business. How does it progress? Have you found the wandering boy? And he laughed at that, and the great bull laughed. He is found, my brother. He is in prison, arrested for the murder of the white man. Murder? The man does not joke now. One does not joke about murder, still less about murder of white men. Yes, murder. He broke into a house in place they called Parkwold and killed the white man who would have prevented him. What? I remember. Only a day or two on Tuesday. Yes, he remembers. He remembers too that his own son and his brother's son are friends. The blood stands out a bull neck. Have no doubt it is fear in the eyes. They wipes his face with a cloth. I am sorry, my brother, says Kumalo. You mean? Yes, he was there also. John Kumalo whispers. God, and again, God, oh my God. Kumalo puts his hand on his brother's shoulders. There are many things I could say, but I say only that I know what you suffer. There is a young white man waiting to take me to the prison. Perhaps he will take you also. They set out along the street to the mission house. The old man walks now more steadily. It is Ada who seems bent and broken. Father Vincent, the rosy-checked priest from England, takes Kumalo's hand in both his own. Anything he says, anything you have only to ask, I shall do anything. They pass through the great gate in the high wall. John Kumalo is taken to one room and the young man goes with Stephen Kumalo to another. The son is brought to them. The old man takes his son's hand in both his own and the hot tears fall fast upon them. The boy stands up unhappy. There is no gladness in his eyes. He twists his head from side to side. My child, my child. Yes, my father. At last I have found you. Yes, my father. And it is too late to this. The boy makes no answer, as though he may find some hope in the silence. The father presses him. It is not too late, he asks, but there is no answer, almost urgently. Is it not too late, he asks. My father, it is what my father says, he answers. I have searched in every place for you. To that also no answer. The old man lets go of his hand and his son's hand slip from them lifelessly. Why did you do this terrible thing? I do not know, he says. Why did you carry a gun? For safety, he says. This Johannesburg is a dangerous place. A man never knows when he will be attacked. But why take it to this house? And this again cannot be answered. Have they got it, my child? Yes, my father. They have no doubt it was you. I told them, my father. What did you tell them? I told them I was frightened when the white man came, so I shot him. I did not mean to kill him. And your cousin, and the Saada. Yes, I told them. They came with me, but it was I who shot the white man. Did you go there to steal? And this again cannot be answered. You were at the reformator, my child. Did they treat you well? They treated me well, he said. And this was a repayment, my child. The young white man came over, for he does not like to see these two hunting each other. Well, Absalom, why did you leave the work that I got for you? And you young men can get no answer. There are no answers to these things. And your girl, the one who let you go to, the girl who you worried over, so that we took pity on you. Absalom cries. Who knows if he cries for the girl he has left, or does he cry for himself? Answered me one thing, my child, says Kuman. You wrote nothing, sent no message, you went with bad people, you stole and broke in, but why? The boy sees upon the word that is given him. It was bad, people say. That is no answer, says Kuman. But he knows he will get no other this way. The young white man comes to them again. Do you still wish to marry the girl? He asked. Yes, sir. I shall see what I can do, says the young man. I think it is time for us to go. May we come again? Yes, you may come again. We shall ask about it at the gate. Stay well, my child. Go well, my father. They go, and outside the gate they met John Kumal. He is feeling better, the big man. Well, he says. We must go at once and see a lawyer. A lawyer, my brother. For what should we spend such money? The story is plain. There cannot be doubt about it. What is the story? Asked John. The story, these three lads went to the house that they thought was empty. They struck down the servant. The white man heard the noise and he came to see, and then, my son, mine, not yours, shot at him. He was afraid, he says. Well, says John Kumal. That is the story. And he told you this in front of others. Why not? If it is the truth, John Kumalu seems happy. Perhaps you do not need a lawyer, he said. If he shot the white man, there is nothing more to be said. Will you Have a lawyer then. John Kumalu smiles at his brother. Perhaps I shall need a lawyer, he says. For one thing, a lawyer can talk to my son in private. You see, my brother, there is no proof that my son or this other young man was there at all. Yes, John Kumalu smiles at that. He seems quite recovered. Not there at all, but my son. Yes, yes, John Kumal interrupts him and smiles at him. Who will believe your son? He asks. He says it with meaning, with cruel and pitiless meaning. Kumalu looks at his brother, but his brother does not look at him. Indeed, he walks away willingly. Willingly, Kumalu goes from the great gate in the wall to the street. God, he says, God, do not leave me. Father Vincent waits. Come back to him. Anything, anything, he said. You have only asked. Then to Father Vincent he will go. Chapter 15. Father Vincent. Kumalo returned to Miss Litebe, tired and unhappy. The two women were silent, and he had no desire to play with the small child. He withdrew into his room to the rest before going to the mission house. But there was a knock at the door. There stood the young white man. Umfundi said the young man about this lawyer. I think you must have a lawyer. Not because the truth must not be told, but because I do not trust your brother. You can see that is in his mind. His plan is to deny that his son and that man were with your son. A lawyer would know whether that will make matters worse or not. And Absalom says that he fired the gun because he was afraid, with no intention of killing the white man. It needs a lawyer to make the court believe that it is true. Yes, I see that. Do you know of any lawyer of your church maybe? No, sir, I do not, but my Father Vincent will know. So they walked to the mission house. I think I could get a good man to take the case, said Father Vincent. We are agreed that it is to be the truth and nothing but the truth, and that the defense will be that the shoot was fired in fear and not to kill. And what about the marriage? Asked the young man. I shall ask him about that also. I would gladly marry them if it can be arranged. Father Vincent put his hand on the old white man's arm. Be of good courage, he said. Whatever happens, your son will be severely punished, but if his defense is accepted, it will not be an extreme punishment. When the young man had gone, Kumalo said to the English priest, you can understand this has been a sad story. At first it was a search, and I was anxious. But as the search went on, step by step, so did the anxious turn to fear. And this fear grew deeper, step by step, but it was here. When we heard of the murder, that was my fear grew into something too great to bear. After the pause, he continued, Msimangu said to me, why fear this one thing in the city where there are thousands and thousands of people that comforted me and did not comfort me? And even now I can hardly believe that this thing which happens one time in the thousands has happened to me. Sometimes for a moment or two I can believe that I shall wake and find it has not happened, but it is only for a moment or two. To think, said Kumalo, that my wife and I lived out our lives there in Dojin, not knowing that this thing was coming step by step. There is a man sleeping there in the grass, and over him is gathered the pre-storm of all his days, bringing death and destruction. People hurry home past him to play safe from danger. And whether they do not see him, there is a grass, or whether they fear to stop even a moment, they do not wake him. They let him be. They were silent a long time. My friend, said Father Vincent, your anxious tend to fear. Your fear tend to sorrow. But the sorrow is better than fear. Fear is a journey, a terrible journey, but sorrow is at least at arriving. And where have I arrived? Asked Kumal. When the storm threatens, a man is afraid for his house, but when the house is destroyed, there is something to do about a storm. He can do nothing, but he can rebuild the house. At my age, asked Kumar, look what has happened to the house that I built when I was young and strong. What kind of house shall I build now? No, one can understand the ways of God, said Father Vincent. It seems that God has turned from me, said Kumal. They may seem to happen, but it does not happen. Never, never does it happen. I am glad to hear you, said Kumalu quietly. But my son is now a stranger to me. I cannot touch him. I see no shame in him, no pity for them, those he has hurt. Tears come out of his eyes, but it seems that he cries only for himself. He has made 2 children lose their father. Stop crying, Father Vincent. Go and pray, go and rest. And do not judge your son too quickly. Pray for Gertrude and for her child, and for the girl that is to be your son's wife, and for the unborn child. Pray for your wife and Ondo Jane. Pray for the soul of him who was killed, and for the women and children that have lost him. Pray for us at the mission house. Pray for your own rebuilding, and do not fear to pray for your son. I hear you, said Kumalu quietly, and give thanks where you can give thanks. He led the old man to the door of the mission, and I shall pray for you, he said, night and day. That I shall do. Anything more than that you asked. Chapter 16. Absalom's Girl. The next day Kumalo went alone to see the girl who was with child by his son. The girl opened the door to him. She smiled at him innocently, with something that was fear and something that was welcoming. Have you heard of your husband? He asked. The smile went from her face. I have not heard, she said. What I have to say is serious, he said. He is in prison. In prison, she said. He is in prison for the most terrible thing that a man can do. But the girl did not understand him. He has killed the white man. She cried out and put her hands over her face, and Kumalo himself could not continue, for the words were like knives cutting into the wood that was still new and open. She sat down on the box and looked at the floor, and tears started to run slowly down her cheeks. I do not wish to speak of it, my child. Can you read the white man's newspaper? A little. Then I shall leave it with you. I do not wish to speak of it more. I have come to speak with you of another matter. Do you wish to marry my son? It is as the Mfundi sees it. It is truly your wish to marry him. I must be certain. I do not wish to take you into my family if you are unwillingly. At those words she looked up urgently. I am willing, she said. We live in a far place, he said. There are no street lights there. There is only one and my wife, and the place is very quiet. You are a Zulu. Yes, Umfundisi. Where are your parents? My father left my mother. They quarreled Umfundisi because my mother was so often drunk. So your father left, and he left you also. What did you do? I left that house. I lived in Sophia Town alone. No, not alone. With your first husband? He asked coldly. How many have there been? She laughed nervously. Only 3, she said. And what happened to the first? He was caught by the police. Umfundis, and the second was caught also. And now the third is caught also. He stood up and wished to have her come into him. Yes, your third is caught also. But now it is for murder. Have you had murdered before? No, she cried, and seeing her and her thin body was ashamed for his cruelty. How old are you, my child? I do not know, she cried, but I think I am 16. And deep pity rose up in him. Tell me, do you truly wish to marry my son? She reached for his hands. I wish it, she said, and to go to the quiet and far off place and be our daughter. I wish it greatly, she said. Have you clothes for the marriage? I have some clothes, Mfundisi, and you must not live here. I shall find you a place near me. Stay well then, my child. Well, go well, Mfundisi. He went out of the house and she followed him to the little gate. When he turned back to look at her, she was smiling at him. He walked on like a man from whom a pain has lifted a little. Not altogether, but a little. He remembered too that Father Vincent had said, I shall pray night and day. At the corner he turned, and looking back saw that girl was still watching him. Miss Litebe, you have heard of this girl who is with child but my son. She wishes to marry my son. Then whatever may happen, she will go with me to Ndochen and bear her child there in a clean and decent home. You would like to bring her here first, Mfundisi. Indeed, that would be a great kindness. Mother, I am grateful indeed. You are a mother to me. Why else do we live? She said. Chapter 17. The Lawyer. He passed again through the great gate in high wall, and they brought the boy to him. Again he took the lifeless hand in his own, and was again moved to tears, this time by sadness of his son. Are you in health, my son? The son looked at one window and then moved and looked at the other, but not at his father. I have some business for you, my son. Are you certain that you wish to marry this girl? I can marry her. There is a friend of mine, a white priest, and he will see if it can be arranged, and he would get a lawyer for you. There is still some life in the eyes of some hope, maybe. You would like a lawyer. They say one can be helped by a lawyer. You told the police that these other two were with you. I told them, and now I have told them again. And then they fetched them from their cells, and they were angry with me and shouted at me in front of the police and said that I was trying to bring them into trouble. And then they asked what proof I had. And the only proof I had was that it was true. It was these two and no other. Then they shouted at me again and said one to the other, how can he lie so about us? They were your friends. Yes, they were my friends. And they would leave you to suffer alone. No, now I see it. Be courage, my son. Do not forget there is a lawyer, but it is only the truth you must tell him. I shall tell him only the truth, my father. He must come soon, my father. Only if it may be too late, he said. Have no fear of that. He will come soon, and Father Vincent will come to see you, and the marriage that will be arranged, and the girl I had not told you, she is living with me in Sophia town, and she will come back with me to Ndochen, and the child will be born there. It is good, my father. And now may write now to your mother. I shall write, my father, and wipe away your tears. The prison guard said to the boy, you must stay here. There is a lawyer to see you. You old man, you must go. Kumalo returned to the mission house and was having tea with Father Vincent when the lawyer came to see them. I shall take the case off for you. Mr. Kumalo, said the lawyer, pro Dio, as we say, it is simple case, for the boy says that he fired because he was afraid, not meaning to kill. But with regard to the other two boys, I do not know what to say. I believe your son is speaking the truth. It is for me to persuade the court that your son is speaking the truth. Now I must have all facts about your son. Mr. Kumalo, what sort of child he was, whether he was truthful or obedient when and why he left the home and what he has done since he came to Johannesburg. You understand? I understand, sir. You may thank God that we have got this man, said Father Vincent. When the lawyer had gone, he is one of the greatest lawyers in South Africa and one of the greatest friends of your people. I do thank God, and you too, Father. But I have one anxiety. What will it cost? My little man is nearly gone. Did you not hear him say he would take the case pro Dio? That is Latin and means for God. He takes it for God. Yes, it will cost you nothing, or at least very little. Khumalo looked at him. I have never meant such kindness, he said quietly. He turned away his face, for he cried easily these days. Father Vincent smiled at him. Go well, my friend, he said. This is the full audiobook of The Cry Beloved, Book 1. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video and share the video so that other learners could get access to the information. Book 2 will also be in the channel. Subscribe so that you can get informed about Book 2.